For staying with us. Well, in the course of the week, the Nigeria Labour Congress announced its plan to protest over the protracted ASUU strike and the incessant insecurity situation in the country. At two separate conferences in Abuja, the president of the NLC and the president of NOLGE, president of the NLC, Ayuba Waba, and president of NOLGE, that's the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, Mr. Ambali Alatunji, decried the worsening security situation in the country. Let's have a conversation around that this morning with Honorable Comrade Uchenna Ekwe, who is Head International Relations and Liaison to the National Assembly in the NLC. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Honorable.
Good morning, thank you.
We also have with us Remi Dairo, who is President, Institute of Productivity and Business Innovation Management. He joins us virtually. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Dairo.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here again.
Well, let me begin with you, Honorable Ekwe. This conversation around a strike, can you give us an inkling exactly what are we talking about here, and why is it important for Nigerians to be aware of it?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you are aware, the universities for upward 4 months now have been shut down because of the strike occasioned by non-implementation of agreements reached with ASUU and the total breakdown on negotiations. And for a long time, the NLC and its allies watched, believing that the system, the governance, will get sensitive to this matter. And about a month ago, sometime in March, the NLC issued a warning that there's a need to speed up and resolve the lingering crisis because the public schools have majority of the students from the poor families, families of the working people, families of workers, farmers, artisans, and traders, people who cannot afford the exorbitant fee of the few private universities and institutions. And bearing in mind the damage this is doing to not just the young people, to their psyche, keeping people out of school for 3 months as if it is normal. And we issued a warning urging the government to quickly resolve the matter or we go on a protest. The government on its part, and we said this should be escalated to a higher level, called a meeting that was chaired by the Chief of Staff to the President. But since then, a window of 3 weeks was given by the parties to resolve the critical issues. But up to today, they have not been resolved. And one wonders how a government will be dragging a foot and will be comfortable keeping the number of youths at home and not going to school.
Well, Honorable Ekwe, I'm just wondering, what the modalities would be. There are those who wonder, is this a political gimmick on the part of the NLC and the labor in general, or it's really something that is genuinely intended? Because a protest is okay, but the objective, some might be wondering exactly why it has taken the NLC 4 months. And it wasn't just 4 months ago that the issues that NLC, that the ASUU had with the federal government started. It started quite some time ago, and there's been warnings and counter warnings and all of that. So why has it taken so long?
Well, I think you first answered the first part of your question, which was people wondering whether it's a gimmick. Why do I say you have answered it? You, in the course of asking this question, you have alluded and accepted the fact that this crisis has been ongoing and warning have been issued. You know, generally, we are never in a hurry to go on strike, nor in a hurry to do protest. We are not strike merchants or protest merchants. We do all these things only when we are pushed to the wall as a last resort. So if anybody is imagining whether the protest is a political gimmick, that person must be living in a foreign land. In my introduction, I reminded us that sometime in March, the NLC sent a warning, a letter, not a warning, a formal letter to the president asking that for his intervention for these matters to be resolved. First, the unions in the academic institutions, which is Academic Staff Union, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, and Non-Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, the NAT, and other unions in that industry, by the procedure, have been having engagement with government. And we have expected that people will come to reasoning and deal with these issues before it generates to the point where we are. And now, and that's a time the challenge we have. We try to bid our time so that people will see reason and deal with the issue properly. Now, we've gotten to the head where we want to protest, and somebody wants to narrow it to a political gimmick. But in any case, we're not afraid if anybody wants to narrow it to that. Because after all, you cannot really divorce abandoning education to the issue of, you can't separate it to the question and crisis of good governance. Because if good governance is on, no one will allow the economic school institutions of higher learning or whatever, of any sort, or any institution of education to be shut down for such a period of time.
Okay.
So if anyone chose to bring the blackmail of political gimmick, it will not make us shy away. We'll face it frontally, because with good governance, we can't have such an issue.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, like I said, we cannot be blackmailed. The young people should also sum up courage to get involved politically and resolve the political system that will keep people out of education for a very long time.
Okay. Mr. Dairo, I guess, first of all, what's your take on the planned protest of labor?
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. I think is the right thing to do after ASUU has tried to get the attention of the government. There'll be so much meeting back-to-back, meetings and meetings and meetings, and destinies of students are rotting away at home. I think the labor came in because they think the ASUU could not get the attention of the government. So the NLC now says, okay, as part of what's their contribution, their responsibility to bring to bring value to labor, because the first capacity, the first elementary capacity of a labor is a student in school. So if the students will become the labor of tomorrow, what are we talking about? So if labor cannot stand up now, of course, I mean, some will say we are coming late, but they've waited enough for the back-to-back meeting with ASUU and government and all sorts of. I don't want to talk about lies here, because the minister came about last week and said, okay, they got a letter from ASUU. I mean, not a letter. ASUU denied, they didn't get something. I mean, there was so much. I mean, games everywhere, and these are dozens of young ones sitting at home for 4 months. You know what 4 months means in the section? I mean, and this has happened over the years from government to government, as if our government does not have any priority or any, concern for education of tomorrow, of leaders of tomorrow. So leaders of tomorrow is just, a play on lips. I think it is time for the government to be gingered, and that's what NLC is doing right now. And I mean, they're coming up with one day strike. I mean, 1 day, warning strike before they go. I mean, so I think a lot of things are wrong, but it's the step in the right direction. Well, productivity must come back to Nigeria as we expected.
Well, what they call it is a 1 day protest. Hopefully, hopefully not a strike yet. I dread that idea. But question I do want to ask is just how much do you think that would achieve? Because as you rightly said, I mean, ASUU has been on strike for 4 months now, and that is not the first time. Under the previous ASUU administration of Professor Ogunyemi, ASUU went on strike and came back, and went on strike and came back, and, nothing was really resolved until there was a change of guards in ASUU, and we now have Professor Shudeke, who is president. When he became president, he said, you know what, let's suspend the strike, let's have another conversation with government. And so far, this is what we have. A good number of people whose children are in school have been unable to do anything about it. Some of them, the Minister of Labor also said that, look, his own children are also at school, and who knows who else. Several other people who are Nigerians, their children are at home now. So how much do you think a 1 day protest of the NLC and NOGE will achieve?
Yeah, I mean, a protest, I don't want to, I'm on national TV. I don't want to say that strike would have been the appropriate, but the protest is the first step of saying, oh, we are not happy about this thing, and then please get the attention of, get back to table, resolve with ASUU. Protest is good, but I think we've had so much protest on different things. How much has NLC be able to achieve through protest? But it's good because, I mean, the country will be gingered, the country will be mobilized, to know that something is going on. Did we not know? Did we need to do a protest to get attention from government? Protest. After 4 months, that means the government's ears are closed and they are waiting for protests to wake up. I mean, I don't understand. The life of young ones are in the hands of the government, so to say now, because they are the ones that will determine if the people go back to school. Oh, the government is saying, oh, if you answer ASUU now, the Polytechnic, lecturers will come forth, and then the College of Education and all that. So we are careful of our negotiation and our conclusion, so that other group will not, kick up their own strike and all that. I mean, we need to go back to the table and discuss the purpose of government and the priority of government. Are there not things moving on other sectors? As if education is not relevant. For first month, 4 weeks out, second 4 weeks out, another 4 weeks out. Imagine how many weeks, how many days. To me, not just a protest. I think it is time for parents to even all parents whose children are out of school should come out and occupy the OPs. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to bring confusion here. I'm only saying how important education, how important the life of this young ones is in my heart. I think the protest is good, first step, but I think the government should wake up. In fact, announcing protest is already a protest. Announcing protest, everywhere, is just to give the government that information. Let's buckle up. What do we need to do so that this protest will not, come to pass? But now, if the protest go, that means the government is waiting for protest. I'm not happy about this. Because I know when I was in school, there was ASUU strike. I left school, there was ASUU strike. I was working, there was ASUU strike. I've worked on I've had my own business. There has been ASUU strike. Now I have children. There's ASUU Strike. When would this thing stop? It is not good at all.
Okay.
For the economy of the country. And you know what? We always think that our oil, our crude oil, is our natural resource. It is not so. The human resources are the most powerful, resource of a country, not the natural resources. One day, this oil we are all talking about that we think we have, I mean, might not be needed because they're already improving cars that will not use gas or use fuel anymore. So what will happen? These children that you are not taking care of today will now in turn be added to the country. Do you know how many people that have gone to Yahoo Yahoo? Do you know that on Facebook and social media there are Yahoo Yahoo groups that these young people that have left not going to school have joined? Do you know how many people that have left the country? Brain drain, and the country does not even have data of people who are living. Do you know the country should be earning from everyone that leave the country to add value to other country? Do you know that's a source of income? But the government is just concerned about things I don't want to talk about.
Okay.
Because they don't understand the power of human capital. So right. They are saying, okay, I mean, it's just disheartening.
Well, most certainly a passionate thing. Well, Honorable Ekwe, maybe we should ask you if there have been any conversation or any overtures to or from representatives of government. Was there any letter sent to the government, the federal government, about the proposed protest of labor and Norgay? What are the conversations that you have had, if any, with any agent or official of government at the federal level in particular?
Yeah, thank you. First, of course, there is a communication immediately after the National Executive Council meeting of the NLC. And it's not just Norgay. All the unions within the NLC family are involved, from the Nigerian Union of Teachers to NUPENG, to Road Transport Workers Union. All the unions, medical and health workers, nurses and midwives, all the unions in the NLC, private and public, are all part of this decision. After that decision, we've not gotten any communication. Bear in mind that we have written the government since March, and no meaningful progress has been made on the issues. I am happy that Remy was able to take us back accurately to the fact that this matter has been lingering for a very long time. And I'm also happy that he has raised all the questions of the frustration, and which is the frustration for everybody. Then the issue of will one day protest, I am so happy the way he captured it. Even announcing a protest is a protest on its own. But the decision is that the one-day protest is a warning to a build-up to a national strike if nothing happens. Also, people have insinuated, and rightly too, that there have been so many of these protests over several governments and it's not achieving the goal. The reason is obvious. The people who have been having the position of governance clearly pay little or no attention to education, clearly pay little or no attention to the cost of undeveloped human capital. And thirdly, what is the priority of the political class? If you take the summary of how much ASUU is asking and add the cost of only presidential forms in two of the major parties, 100 million and 40 million, the money generated will stop ASUU strike and the universities will open. And these are the political class that want to keep leading the nation. Even a build-up to election, the candidates of the leading parties have not even uttered a word for or against the strike or what they will do in education. It is clear that something needs to give way in the country to return our education system to working. Why do we need to return the education system? Remy captured part of it. Now you have more young people who have been forced out of staying at home to join the Yahoo Yahoo. The pressure this is giving to families. Families are so scared. People are worried what will happen to their children. But you see, my message to the young people is that we can't be lamenting over the years. We have lamented, and clearly, even announcing the protest as a captured, which is already a protest, and we're not getting reaction from the political class. The political class have to be changed.
Okay.
That's why I say we cannot be blackmailed
to
feel that it's political. It has to get political.
Honorable Ekwe, let me ask this. So what's the modalities for this strike? You've said that all unions affiliated to the NLC are going to be involved. Exactly what does this protest entail? In what states of the country or where will the protests be held?
The protests will take on simultaneously in all the state capitals, including the FCT. On that day, workers and their allies, students, and including even families who feel bothered about this situation will all join in this peaceful protest in all the states of the Federation and the FCT. That's what it is. And like we said, this will be step one into the big issues, because we have endured it, but it is not acceptable that families will be kept under this pressure, the young people will be kept under this pressure of keeping them out of school. And like people will say, is this a part of a long-term plan to keep the children of the poor out of governance? Governance now means economic governance, because let's bear in mind, because the people that will get the right jobs have to be educated.
Okay. Well, when you say,
the people that will get into political positions have to be educated.
Honorable, when you say
the people that will run the system,
when you say that
have to be educated.
The issues.
Is it a grand plan?
Just 1 second,
to keep
Honorable.
Away.
When you say that the issues have to get political, what do you mean?
What I mean is that the young people should arise, get together, and vote out the class that don't want them to go to school. That's what it means.
Does it also
the
include...
young people should also take power.
Yeah. Does
and
it also include...
that have over these years have refused the school system to work.
Yes.
Because the decision is taken, the decision about education is taken by those in political power. That's where the decision is taken.
Does it also include the fact
NLC.
that the NLC...
It's not taken from
just 1 second,
protest.
Honorable. Does it also include the fact that the NLC and Labour generally is supporting a particular political party?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, over the years, we have decided to move out all politically into the Labour Party and do what other of our colleagues have done all over the world. Yes, we are supporting the Labour Party. There's no pretension about it. We have have our manifesto. We have clarity about what to do in education. We have clarity about what to do in petroleum sector. We have clarity about what to do in security system. So the NLC and Labour have clearly made up its mind to go all out political, because these decisions will not change from our protests.
Okay.
It will change by our taking political power in conjunction with the young people of Nigeria, the farmers of Nigeria, the artisans of Nigeria, the traders of Nigeria. We will come together under the Labour Party and take over the leadership of this country and run the country in a new way.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Dairo what your take is on that. I mean, the issues are governance related. Now, as you have heard the Honourable say, Labour in Nigeria has decided to go political. How strongly do you think that will sell both in the short term and in the long term with the Nigeria?
So let me clearly say that I'm not speaking for any political party. I'm not defending any party here. I'm just passionately speaking as a Nigerian and as somebody who has gone through stuff, because of ASUU and all, government, strike over the years. There's nothing wrong for Labour to come together and come up under a party to make that. To pursue a dream, political dream. But immediately we mentioned that. That's the warning now. Immediately, NLC mentioned that we are doing this because we have a political ambition. I tell you, the government will not take it serious, and then we'll come back to square one because they will say, "Wow, the protest is a party protest." In fact, they can be arrested that you're disturbing the government of the day, right? If we are protesting for justice, we are protesting to rescue our young ones out of the street and get back them to class, let us fight that. Let the parents from different parties, because the students who are at home are in different parties. They only have one struggle, and the struggle is my children is not going to school. There's one common goal. Our children must go back to campus. Now, immediately we put party, party in this equation. You see, the members of the party will say, "No, don't worry, just chill out. By the time we come to power, we will resolve that." Oh, others will say, "Don't join them. They are only social party." There will not be a lot of dimensions to this, and then that might not be effective because it will be politically inclined. But NLC have their reason, and then they know what they want to do, what they want to achieve. But I'm just warning that immediately we mentioned that because the problem we have here is a problem of the nation, irrespective of any party. That you're in PDP, then APC, then Labour, you're ABGA, all our children are not going to school. But people are crying, people are suffering. It is not the children of APC that are at home, neither is the children of the Labour that are at home, neither the children of ABGA or PDP that are at home. It is the children of all parents. Therefore, let parents stand up with one voice.
Okay.
Let Labour, under the auspices of their primary purpose of fighting for the labor force, fighting for the human resources, fighting to rescue the productivity of a nation. Why not? But immediately we bring party in. Because we have seen this.
But Honourable, just a second, on that same issue, wouldn't you draw a parallel between what Labour is trying to do now in the year before the general elections and the very same thing that the current federal government did in 2014?
Yes.
Okay, since it's what you wanted to say, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that this same government, like in Ojota, fighting the former government, PDP government, and we are saying this is wrong, this is wrong. We are coming to change it, and people say, okay, why? Why are you doing it? So we are doing it because we want to rescue the government so that we can give better life to the people, and people supported them, voted them in. Now see where we are. So we don't want that to happen again. Labour, please fight for Labour cause. Then politically go underground and do your political work, and then convert people as much as you want. But I don't want us to marry Labour purpose of rescuing the productivity of human resources with the Labour political agenda. It will crumble. It might crumble. Don't let me sound like a doom prophet. So that's my
okay. Honourable Ekwe, you want to respond to that very quickly?
Yeah, it's very interesting. There are tiny lines to this. And again, I am happy, including Remy raised the issue of several years of protests that have not been able to resolve this matter. And the strike, the protest, was announced by Nigerian Labour Congress. the strike was not announced by the Labour Party. But on the question whether Labour is part of Labour Party, is not a deniable fact. We are. And what are we doing? What is new in what we are doing? Nothing. A group of people, I could remember a minister, a one-time minister who is now a governor, once told us in the NLC during a negotiation that all these things you Labour people are pushing that you want our government to do, and that's several years back, that if you want to do it, go and form your party and run your agenda. We're dealing with our agenda. Our agenda is to do this. Workers over the world, all over the world know this fact. I don't know whether you've listened to President Biden in the recent times, where he kept publicly saying that he's not ashamed to be called a workers' president. And he have made a proposal for the increase of minimum wage of workers in the United States.
So as far as you're concerned, I mean, there is absolutely nothing wrong. Because we need to wrap up now, Honorable. As far as you're saying, it's just a point of caution.
We clearly know. We have watched over the years. Okay. These matters have not been resolved.
Okay.
And the two major political parties have held power over these years and have not been able to resolve the crisis in education.
Well, let's just agree, Honorable Ekwe.
We will not be scared.
Yes, let's just assume, let's just agree, Honorable, that, I mean, perhaps as events unfold, the issues that you're saying will be resolved one way or the other, and of course the agenda of Labour would be known, whether as a party or as an advocacy group. For now, we have to thank you very much for being a part of our conversation this morning. Honorable Comrade Uchenna Ekwe is head International Relations, is also liaison to National Assembly for the NLC, as well as Remy Dairo, who is President, Institute of Productivity and Business Innovation Management. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of our conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
So
thank you very much.
We'll return after now for another conversation, the third in the series today. Please stay with us.